Morrisville Borough Council meeting, regular meeting of Monday, November 17, 2014. Would you all please stand for a moment of silent prayer, followed by pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here.
No.
Here. Fred Turner will not be here this evening.
Victor Sisson.
Here.
Jeffrey Johnson.
Here.
Here.
Ted Clark. Tom Sanford.
Here.
Peggy Smith.
Here.
Junior Councilperson.
See, the thing's still playing. Comcast.
Here. Kenny's being replaced tonight. Barbara Monroe. And Tom Bates and Robert.
Next this evening, we have special presentations, and we'll start with our annual crowning of the Winterfest, Miss Winterfest, and we have 3 participants. If I can have Robin Raycliffe forward to the, who's, I don't know who we're crowning.
Okay, this evening we are going to be crowning Miss Winterfest 2014 will be tied fifth. Tied in the 10th grade at Morrisville High School. Her favorite sport is track. Her favorite subject is art. Is really dedicated to her studies and tries to do her best in school. She hopes to attend Penn State. She is the daughter of Onika Stevenson. Junior Miss Winterfest this year is Beth McCaskey. Beth is 10 years old. She's in the 5th grade. Her favorite classes are math and science. She's a very active young lady, taking both clarinet and dance lessons. She also has a green belt in Sugar Pond Karate. Beth recently raised her first pig through 4-H and won first place at the Grange Fair. She is the daughter of Cindy and Joe McCaskey. Little Miss Winterfest this year is Sarah Dable. Sarah is in the 4th grade. Her favorite classes are science and language arts. She's also learning to play trombone. Sarah loves acting, animals, fashion, and reading. She is the daughter of Bonnie and Dan Dable.
Okay, yeah, you guys gotta see it somewhere where.
Can we get a picture of them with the mayor, the 3 girls with the mayor, please? Sorry.
Keep moving around and cool it down.
One of the girls who kindly loaned you there. Okay, can we move closer to him? Like, he won't bite anybody, I swear to him. He does, it's like,
Again, smile, guys.
okay, Tom.
Move in.
Robin, if you could just give us do you want to wait?
I can, I'd like to do it now, but I
Yeah, please.
Winterfest will be held Saturday,
1 second, please.
We had a freeze. Yeah. Give me 1 second, please.
So, it's rebooting?
Yes.
so you know, they got new software coming out. They're testing it in the lab, and it should be installed next week.
Crash again. Debug that. Huh? Crash again to the debug that.
One of the best of
I think we just talk together maybe before you leave and then maybe switch on.
Go ahead. Huh? It's back up and running. Thank you.
My name's Robin Reithmeyer. Winterfest will take place on Saturday, December 6th. The parade will start at 10:30 down on South Pennsylvania Avenue by Post Road. We have changed the route somewhat this year, thanks to Bob Seward and Chief McClay. We will be coming out onto Bridge Street this year from Washington Avenue. We'll be making a left on the bridge and then a right on Pennsylvania up to Palmer and then left onto Palmer. I'm sorry to say that there will not be any activities at the high school this year, but instead we will be having activities at the Elks. There will be lunch with Santa. You can come, the Elks is going to be having lunch for the children. I think they're offering hot dogs for free. Adults can buy whatever they choose that they have offered. There'll be crafts, there'll be vendor tables, and raffle baskets. After that, there will be cookies and juice here at Borough Hall. And Mrs. Claus is going to be reading the night before Christmas. Santa will arrive about 5:30 and light the Christmas tree. And he's going to be arriving on the fire truck once again. After that, there will be a live nativity at the Baptist Church, followed by carolers, and from 6:30 to 9, the Solid Rock Youth Cafe is going to be open to the public, all children and their families, for cookies, cider, hot chocolate, and other crafts for the kids. Also starting at 6 o'clock, they're going to have a black cat balloons at the library, along with some crafts up there. I think that's 6:30 to 8:30. Oh, last but most important, Saturday, November 22nd, we're having a comedy show fundraiser. Tickets are $20. The show is at Georgine's, and if you need tickets, please contact me. You can reach me at 267-573-9160.
This is the fundraiser for the Winterfest parade.
And the activities following, yeah.
Question, do you think Santa could arrive a little forward?
Then what time would you like Santa to arrive? I mean,
5?
look, I could put a call in. I think 5 would be cutting it close.
Right, because of the activities at the library on 316, and if you coincide some.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, I'll get back to you on that, see if he's,
Yeah, I don't believe, honestly, that because of the times. But
Sam used to be very busy at the high school until
He
about
is.
4:30.
About 4:30.
So that's why it was
And
always
it looks
later,
like he's
because he
gonna be
couldn't get
busy
here.
at the Elks this year. But the Elks, I'm not sure if it's gonna start at 11:30 or 12:30, but if you keep look out for them on their marquee,
Okay,
okay?
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
What time does it end at the About 4?
About 4. Did I mention like Mohawk and Pat's will be there? Well, Morrisville Opportunity Educational Foundation will have their raffle baskets. Performance Arts Boosters will have their raffle baskets. There will also be craft tables sponsored by several different groups and families in the community for the children.
Robin, if you have a condensed version of that, if you just leave it or get it to us, then we can get it on.
I'll have it
42.
tomorrow and I'll bring it to Borough Hall.
All right, thank you. Okay. Next we have, actually, Elise, come forward. She's standing in for Barbara Swander this evening to discuss landmark towns in Bucks County.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me this evening, and I love that we have a track, gal that runs track. We have science and math, and then we have the trombone. It's a good combination. I'm Elisa Garofalo. I'm with the Delaware and Lehigh National Heritage Corridor, and we have been around for about 25 years. We are the folks that were designated by Congress because of the nationally significant history of the anthracite coal that was mined up north of us, up in Carbon and Luzerne County, and then was transported to market via the canals and railroads and the river. And today, the D&L Trail, of which the Delaware Canal towpath is a part of, is the connector through that whole 165 miles. And since 2007, we have been working with the communities of with Morrisville, New Hope, Bristol, and Yardley on the Landmark Towns Regional Revitalization Program. And the goal being that the communities have a shared history. They're all located along the national landmark, the Delaware Canal, and that by promoting these assets and working together, that it strengthens the economy in the local region. We are now in our 7th year of this program, which is pretty amazing, and we are fortunate enough in the last 2 years and for the 2 years going forward to have some financial support from the William Penn Foundation. We just learned this week that they will continue to support the program. And some of the things that Morrisville has benefited from just in this past year include facade grants and technical assistance to help the downtown businesses and property owners improve their buildings, including 8 facade projects at the Gosick building and the Coronia, am I saying it right? Building. And these totaled an investment in grants of about $25,500 and an overall investment into downtown Morrisville of $69,000. This week, 2 new "You Are Here" wayfinding signs were installed on the D&L Trail, the Delaware Canal towpath, one at Trenton Avenue, the other at Union. And these were made possible through a matching grant with the Landmark Towns program, partnering with the Morrisville Yardley Rotary Club. And working with local partners, the program has sponsored events that help bring visitors to Morrisville, including the Delaware Canal Festival and the River Towns Road Rally. We've also made available software that has been provided free to Morrisville Borough to create a comprehensive, up-to-date design guidelines as a tool to provide appropriate guidance to property owners improving their buildings. And we also this past year published the very popular regional Delaware Canal towpath, which has insets that help people who are using public transportation or who are traveling between the communities to find various things in each of the 4 communities and beyond. And these have been available. And these have been quite popular. We're actually replicating the similar design up in the Lehigh Valley as well as up in the anthracite region. So the Landmark Towns program through the D&L is available to serve as a facilitator and to be used as a resource on an as-needed basis to help work on downtown issues such as economic development, business retention, storefront and facade improvements, and downtown management. We also work on your behalf as stewards and advocates for the trail and for the Delaware Canal on the DNL Trail Alliance, as well as the Delaware Canal Advisory Committee. We also are your connection to the Philadelphia Regional Trail Network, the circuit. The towpath is recognized as a trunk trail from Philadelphia to help transport, visitors and bicyclists and the like to travel from Philadelphia to the Lehigh Valley. And and so we do represent the borough there. We've also, as a landmark town, it elevates your grant applications from several funding sources, including those from the Department of Community and Economic, Community and Economic Development, and our Lehigh Valley Greenways program, mini grants. So going forward, we have this past fall held a series of focus meetings, realizing that in the 7th year of a program, it's important to take a look back and to take a look forward as to where it's best to go to make sure that the program continues to be viable. And so we are committed to having a facilitated strategic planning process in January to update the program's mission, vision, goals, and action plans. There will be a balanced time commitment between the 4 communities so that a higher level of presence in each of the communities. Updates will be provided for your newsletter. And what we are asking is that the borough, as they did last year, to contribute to the matching funds for the program. And we will be receiving this year at least, we'll be receiving $27,500 per year from the William Penn Foundation to help with the management only. And what we're asking each of the 4 communities to contribute $7,500 from local sources. And we have made presentations to all the other communities, and they have all included it in their budget. Of course, the budgets still have to be passed. So from here, essentially, that's the crux of my request tonight. There are a few other things that are in the works. There's a new upcoming marketing brochure, 10 things to do, and there'll be 4 of them, 10 things to do in Morrisville, 10 things to do in Yardley, Bristol, and New Hope. And these are being done with the support of the Bucks County Convention and Conference and Visitor Bureau, and they will be distributed to strategic locations throughout the area and into the Philadelphia area. And finally, we will be with support from William Penn. We are going to be launching a Found Art on the Trail program, where at select trailheads up and down the corridor and throughout the landmark towns, that the idea of having outdoor art using found materials with an industrial theme. So this is not a comprehensive list, but I think it does give some idea of what you could expect in the coming year. So I encourage you to continue to take advantage of the program. Nancy has been, your board president, has been a very active in the program, I think almost since its inception. We do need new and fresh volunteers to serve on the board, and we would encourage those folks in the community to step forward if they're interested in the economic viability of the community, the business community, as well as the historic nature. So if you have any questions, that pretty much wraps up my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them. Comments?
Hopefully we'll be starting budget sessions sometime next week.
Okay.
So of course we can't give you an answer, but
Okay, but I
we'll
hope
be discussed.
we'll consider.
And I don't know that we'll be able to find that money, but we'll do our best.
Okay, I'm going to leave. Actually, there's a supply of these that we already have.
Great. And we have a little holder downstairs, so we'll. Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out. Okay. Next, we have Mr. Matt Hancock. He is the Chief Prosecutor for the Bucks County District Attorney's Office, and he's giving us an update on heroin issues in Bucks County.
But I do want to get like a little more involved.
Oh, yeah, please.
So if you can give me like a card. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Donald? Donald?
Oh,
Thank
you
you
have
all.
PowerPoint?
Yeah, but I can start off
Okay.
without it. Thank you for inviting me, Mayor Rivella. Thank you all for entertaining me at this point. I think that it's important to lead in here by saying that the heroin problem is everywhere. We call it an epidemic. I think that's convenient. But we in Bucks County don't have it any worse than anywhere else. The good news is we're raising awareness here in Bucks County. So when you read a lot of articles about the heroin issue in Bucks County, that's because we are actually promoting the awareness. So I think that in a way it's good news when you're reading a lot about it here, because we're acknowledging we're beyond wondering if it's here in Bucks County, if it's in Lower Bucks, Central Bucks, and Upper Bucks. It is. And the question becomes, how can we educate ourselves and what can we do? I know Mayor Rivella came to a town forum that we gave in Tullytown, and he invited me to come speak. And I'm happy to say that one of the things that I'm doing on Monday is I'm going to Morrisville, to the high school, to speak to the youth. And really that's where we have to hit it the hardest. We have to try to educate the young men and women here in our communities, because we want to try to get them before they start. Make them understand that heroin is, you try it and you're instantly hooked, and it's a lifelong problem that you'll have once you're hooked. So that's really the goal, and I'm happy to say that we'll be in Morrisville on Monday. What I have here is a condensed version of the presentation that I give at the schools. And the reason it's condensed is it's about 50 minutes to an hour, and obviously you have a lot of things to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the presentation, but I'm not going to play any of the videos. If I determine that I still have another couple of minutes at the very end, I've only gone 10 minutes, maybe I'll play one or two videos, but I want you all to get about your business. So here we go. Donald, I don't know if it's working here. Oh, there we go. All right, first what we do is we discuss what drugs are being used for recreational purposes and some of the risk factors in using drugs and alcohol. And quite candidly, all drugs are used for recreational purposes, even drugs you wouldn't even be able to think of. Horse tranquilizers are being used for recreational purposes. Some pretty smart chemists who aren't interested in being law-abiding have invented artificial synthetic marijuana. It's crazy. And some of the risk factors are essentially being in the wrong places, hanging out with the wrong people. Unfortunately, those are some of the big risk factors, but these are some of the things that we like to bring to the attention of our young people. Then we lead off, and you'll see in the little black box there, that would be a video that we're not going to play tonight, but we lead off with prescription drugs. When we talk to the young people at the schools, we talk to them about drugs that they may see that are legal when they're prescribed, such as Adderall, Ritalin, even if their parents are using drugs like Xanax, which are legally prescribed. And we talk about how when they're used by the person that they're prescribed to, they're fine. It's when they're either abused by that person or they're diverted to somebody else that they become a real problem. And the reason that they become a problem is because when you get a prescription drug, your doctor, number one, is prescribing it to you. They're taking into consideration your height, your weight, your age, your tolerance, whether you're on other medications, and they're supposed to be monitoring you. When that drug is diverted, if one young person says to another, hey, I have a test to study for, let me get one of your Adderalls or one of your Ritalins, all of that is out the window, and that's what happens, unfortunately. Another thing that we find a lot of is the painkillers are really, really what has created this heroin epidemic. There's just been a scourge and over-prescribing of painkillers in society today, all across the country. And that's, quite frankly, it's because they're so readily available. It's so much easier for a doctor to say, hey, let me give you a prescription for 30 painkillers when you might only need 5. That way you don't have to come back to me when you've used your 5 to get another 5. And that's what we see. And then what happens is, and I'll use myself as an example, I got my wisdom teeth out when I was a young man, like Nicholas's age, I think. And I got a prescription for 30 Percocets. And I used 1. To this day, I couldn't tell you what happened to the other 29 Percocets. I imagine they were in my parents' medicine cabinet. Maybe they threw them out. Maybe they flushed them down the toilet. Maybe somebody that was doing some repairs at the house took them. Maybe a friend that was hooked on drugs took them. And the reason I say all these maybes is because that's what happens now. That's what we at the DA's office see every day, and that's called diversion. When an otherwise legal drug is diverted from its intended user, that's when addiction occurs. And these painkillers are so strong. You've heard of Percocet, Vicodin, OxyContin. They're the opiates. And there is precious, precious little difference between a legal painkiller, like Vicodin, OxyContin, Percocet, and heroin. You have to examine it under a microscope, microscopic, molecular level, to see the actual difference. That's because there's virtually no difference. What we see, though, is that a person that's hooked on painkillers, whether they're their own or they're diverted from somebody else's medicine cabinet, their mother's, their father's medicine cabinet, they're diverted, they can't keep up the habit. Either that person runs out of pills, or they run out of ways to get pills, or they can't afford the pills. To give you an example, a Perc 30, that's a 30 milligram Percocet pill, that costs about 30 bucks. Well, heroin, the same hit of heroin costs you maybe $5, $7, maybe $10 on a bad day. It's the law of economics, the law of supply and demand. What we're finding is people need that high. There's 2 components to the high. There's that psychological component where you just crave it, you need the rush, you need to feel the way it makes you feel so you can escape it. And then there's the physical component. So even if you can beat the psychological component, your body feels God awful if you don't get your fix every day, or for some people every hour. So at some point you become so dependent on the drug that you're just taking it so you don't feel like knives are coming through the bones of your body. And that's what heroin ultimately causes people to have happen. This slide here, I don't know if this pointer is going to work, but there we go. These are individual bags that we got in a drug bust here in Bucks County. And each of these bags is a hit of heroin. And then each of these is called a bundle. A bundle is 10 bags of heroin. Usually there's 10 to 14 bags of heroin, baggies, in a bundle. And then there's 10 bundles in a rack, to give you a little bit of education. But each of those baggies is capable of getting you high and sometimes mistakenly killing you, killing a person. Unlike a Percocet pill, every Percocet pill is identical to every other Percocet pill. Heroin is not like that. It's being created by amateur chemists who really all they care about is selling the drug and trying to break it down, to cut it into as many dosages as they can so they can make more money. And what do they cut it with? Sometimes they'll cut it with baking powder, sometimes they'll cut it with other drugs, and that's what we're seeing here in Bucks County. A lot of the heroin here is being cut with fentanyl. And fentanyl is a very powerful, very fast-acting painkiller. The problem is, some of the heroin that our people are ingesting here in Bucks County is pure fentanyl. And if you ingest pure fentanyl, you die. And that's what we're finding here. Some of the other things that I want you to notice each of the bags has a, this isn't working too great on here, has a brand name or a stamp. The ones on the left there actually have a little panda bear, and the ones on the right have a brand called Starbucks. It's marketing. They're marketing to young people. That's why there's a little panda on there. It's also the same branding as you would have Coke versus Pepsi. Somebody becomes brand loyal to Starbucks. Somebody becomes brand loyal to Panda. And this is a question I always ask the kids when I go to the schools. I say to them, what we had happen, actually I think it was in Warminster a few months ago, a couple people died taking bad news heroin. The heroin was branded bad news. Do you think all the other junkies that found out about the bad news heroin had killed 2 people, do you think they ran away from it? No. They raced to get the bad news. You know why? Because a junkie's brain chemistry has been so altered that this is their thought process. What they think is, he couldn't handle it, that must have been some almighty stuff. I can handle it. I got to get that. I have to chase that dragon. And so we actually had a rash of deaths because of it. This picture here is actually a seizure that occurred in Doylestown. That is hundreds of thousands of dollars of heroin that was being packaged right in Doylestown. So don't let anybody tell you this is a Philadelphia problem, or an Allentown problem, or a Trenton problem. This is a Bucks County problem. What we do then is we take, after we can educate people about what heroin does to you and how people get hooked on heroin, we then transition into the local scene. And what we have found locally is our young people, this young lady in this picture is from Warrington. She has been charged in Montgomery County with drug delivery resulting in death. She shared heroin with somebody, she lived, and the person she shared it with died. She's been charged criminally. I'm sure you can't read it, but there are 2 other young ladies mentioned in there that were Bucks County cases who also shared heroin and were convicted for sharing heroin, and both of them are in prison at this time. And they're the ones that are fortunate enough to survive. Here are just some more local examples. There's a Percy, young lady from Percy. And if you'll look in the center, and this is a video that I do like to show our students. I'm not going to have time to show it to you now. It's about a young man from the Council Rock area that actually explained very candidly, very bluntly about how he was hooked on heroin, and he would go down to 3rd in Indiana, 3rd in Cambria, Kensington, into the Badlands of Philadelphia to go get his heroin. And it makes a pretty good impact on the kids, because they see, hey, you know what, this isn't a Philly kid, this is one of us. This young lady in the corner here, she is from Soulbury. She turned to prostitution to feed her habit. And that's one of the other things that we see, unfortunately, when somebody gets hooked on heroin or even pills, they have to feed the beast. They have to chase that dragon. They could have a $300 a day habit. Well, I don't make $300 a day, and you know these young people don't make $300 a day, so what do? They resort to crime. Robbery, burglary, retail theft, prostitution, regular theft. And the first people that they commit the crimes against are the people closest to them, their loved ones. Every time I give a presentation like this, people come up to me afterwards and say, I know somebody that's hooked, and I know exactly what you're saying. And the reason is because when you're hooked on that drug, you only care about getting high. You don't care about the people that you love. They're only a means to an end. And if you can rob them blind, you do it. This young lady, as of the last I knew, was straight. But there's some pretty telling pictures in a minute or 2 about her. Here's another young lady from Newtown at the top who survived. She's now a counselor. Young man in the middle died. He's from Middletown. And we really try to target this to our young people. We want them to be able to identify with the people that this is affecting when we go into the schools. This is a video, actually was shown on the news pretty recently. It shows a young lady on a SEPTA bus, and her 3-year-old daughter is with her, and this lady's doing what's called falling out. When somebody's on heroin, some people can function on it, most people can't, they fall out, which you'll see a person that start to go like this. And they can't function. And this is a great example. And her little daughter is in the video saying, "Mommy, are you okay?" And she's like, "Go away, get off of me." And it's a pretty stark reality check. Here's a picture of a young lady. I think we took this of her driver's license photo. She was arrested in Upper Southampton. But before her arrest, this is her driver's license photo. This is her picture on the night she was arrested. That's what heroin does to you. You just don't care about anything except getting your next fix. This young lady in this picture is the one from Soulbury that was in a few slides prior that actually got hooked on heroin and turned to prostitution. This is her driver's license photo, and this is what she looked like on what she said was the worst night of her life. Probably was the best night of her life because she got saved, but she was arrested for prostitution. That's what she looked like on the night of her arrest. You can imagine these pictures really hit home with the students when we showed them. From there we transition when we give this presentation into what do we ask the kids to do? What can the young kids do? Unfortunately, or fortunately, it's a lot of common sense. There are no magic bullets. You need to be a leader, not a follower. Avoid risk. Be the person that says, "Hey, that's a bad idea." The best way to not get hooked is never to start. And we always refer to the people such as the people in this room. Unfortunately, I'm preaching to the choir because you all are the people that would tell everybody not to use heroin. What we really need is a room full of people that are thinking about using heroin and give this presentation. And I am happy to say we go to the Bucks County Youth Center, which is where we house our most at-risk youth, either for committing a juvenile offense as a juvenile or being placed there afterwards. And we give this presentation. And I did have a couple of the young men there say it did get their attention, so I was appreciative of that. But usually when we're in a school setting, what I'll say to the kids is, "Hey, look around you, look in the back. You see your teachers, your coaches, your guidance counselors, your parents at home, your friends. These are the people you need to talk to if you know of somebody that has a problem or you have a problem yourself." Next, what we do is I make sure that everybody knows there are resources out there. This 800 number is about as close to a magic bullet as we've come up with. If you call this 800 number, if you or a friend or a loved one has a heroin issue or a question about drugs or some other drug issue, that hotline is manned 24 hours a day. And I actually brought a couple of handouts. They're in the back by the flowers. And if somebody wants to pick up a sheet, you know somebody that might need some help, take that handout, and that number is highlighted on that handout in the back. Obviously, but I would feel terrible if I didn't say this and somebody needed it. If you have an emergency and it's immediate, please call 911. Don't call the 800 number. Call 911. We have plenty of treatment centers in Bucks County. These are just a few of them, but we always like to give people options, and some of these obviously are local. This is by no means a comprehensive list. This is our tip card, and I know that President Sherlock took a couple of the cards, and she assured me that there are some more cards downstairs, and we have the tip poster is pretty prominently featured here. What we tried to do at the DA's office is make it very easy to anonymously report somebody that's dealing drugs or drug activity. If you have a copy of this card, it gives you a phone number, an email, or a text, an ability to text us. Text us your tip, and we'll act on it. We'll either make sure that that information is acted on by us at the DA's office or given to the appropriate police agency, whether it be Morrisville or Quakertown or state police, what have you. And so I also left a couple more tip cards on the back table there, if anybody wants to grab them. They're nice and small, put them right in your pocket. The other thing that we promote, obviously, and this is wonderful, and Mayor Ravella reminded me that Morrisville participates here, this is the drug take-back program. You want to talk about some easy solutions? Here are a couple. Number one, lock up your drugs. If you have legal drugs at home, lock them up. If you have a gun at home, probably most of you lock them up. Well, drugs are just as deadly if they're misused. Keep them locked up. It's so easy. And when you're done with them, take them to the drug take-back locations. We have, I think, 31 drug take-back locations here in Bucks County. There's one right downstairs. And if you have drugs that you're done with, or that are even old or expired, or you don't want them to get in the wrong hands, you bring that bottle, you put it in the drug take-back box, close the lid, and we incinerate them. They cannot be taken from that box unless it's by law enforcement. That's the essence of the program. I have one more thing that's not in here that I'd just like to touch on, and that is there's now the widespread availability of naloxone, or what you may know of as Narcan. And this is essentially, it's a drug that reverses an overdose. It's bizarre how effective it is. If you see somebody that's overdosing, you give them either a nasal spray or a shot of this naloxone, and it reverses it. They still need medical treatment, but it's pretty amazing. And now it's legal to get in a prescription. You don't need to get the prescription for yourself. You can actually get it to hold it for somebody else. Our police are now able to use it, and there's a Good Samaritan law that just got passed that there will be no civil liability if you use it on behalf of somebody else. I think that's wonderful. That's really where we need to be. That's the end of the presentation. I hope I haven't overstayed my welcome. I hit you with a lot of information fast, but it really comes down to common sense. If we have a problem, there are ways that each of us can deal with this issue. And the best advice I can give you, Nicholas, is just never do heroin. And that's my presentation. So I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to be here, and I'll let you carry on with the meeting.
Thank you, but I have a quick question.
Of course.
So the Narcan, you're saying that anybody can just go get a prescription? Would they have to be through a doctor?
Yes, you still need a doctor to prescribe it for you. But you can, the way I understand it, and this is brand new stuff, you can actually get a doctor to prescribe it for you on behalf of somebody else.
So if you're a parent and you know your child
Yes.
is heroin user?
Yes, and until maybe a couple weeks ago, the only people that could use Narcan were doctors or first responders, not even police, believe it or not here in Pennsylvania, were EMS or EMT workers. Now police are able to use it, and we're going to start a widespread training program so that all of our police will have it at their disposal. Any other questions?
Yeah, what is the side effect of Narcan? Any side effects if it's misused?
I don't know. I can tell you that they have the Good Samaritan law. I don't think that there are no harmful or fatal effects. I know that what it does is it blocks the receptors in the brain that the heroin is hooking onto. And so that if you're not on heroin, I don't think that it gives you any negative effect, but I would need to look into that further to give you more information.
Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you, Matt, for coming out. When I first heard Matt speak in Tellytown, I could certainly see the value of it, and I thought it was a good idea to have him come to the borough to address council and the residents at home. If they were able to hear his presentation, I hope they are. And I put him in contact with our superintendent at the school, so that's going to be a full presentation there one day. So, I think it's a great thing, and I really appreciate you taking time for Morrisville.
Of course, that's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Next, we'll have the hearing of the public, and then right after hearing of the public, we have a brief executive session regarding personnel.
Well, before you do that, will you add to the agenda one of the things I sent in asking for the Winterfest parade route to be approved?
That was
my understanding that when it was approved earlier this year, it was approved with the chief's approval of the route. So they already passed it in February.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that's
I
what.
did talk to Robin about that. We already passed that in February.
Okay, I'll take these. That's
I
good.
do remember that we did say we'll pass it early, so if it's good that we don't need to add it.
We did check that.
Well, if you responded, I would have known.
Okay, Robin already spoke, so she's not here anymore. Jane Berger.
Good evening. Jane Berger, 90 West Maple Avenue, Morrisville. In advance of the Thanksgiving holiday, I want to wish you all a very healthy, family-oriented Thanksgiving. There are differences throughout the world, country and locally, but we are one country united, and we are still the best country in the world, and we have much to be thankful for. So I just wanted to share that and thank everyone for